Heraclius, a name that echoes through the annals of history, yet often overshadowed by the more famous emperors of the Byzantine Empire. His reign, spanning from 610 to 641, was one of monumental challenges and transformations for the Byzantine Empire. From the rise of the Sassanid Persians to the dawn of the Islamic caliphates, Heraclius's era was a time of upheaval, but also a time of triumph. This video will take you through the extraordinary life and reign of one of Byzantium's greatest rulers. Early life and rise to power. 132 4 o'clock. Heraclius was born around 575 AD in the Eastern Roman Empire, in a time when the empire was already facing mounting challenges. His father, also named Heraclius, served as a military officer in the Eastern Provinces, and young Heraclius grew up in the world of Byzantine politics and warfare. However, it wasn't until a dramatic series of events in 610 that he would come to the throne. The reigning emperor at the time, Phocas, was unpopular. His tyrannical rule led to widespread discontent, and the military commander Heraclius, leading a revolt with his father and uncle, marched on Constantinople. In a turn of fate, Heraclius successfully overthrew them, and on October 5, 610, he was crowned as the emperor of the Byzantine Empire. Heraclius, and the crisis of the empire, 4 o'clock to 7:30. When Heraclius assumed the throne, the empire was in a perilous position. To the east, the Sassanid Persians, led by King Khosrow II, had inflicted devastating defeats on the Byzantines. They had captured the Byzantine provinces of Syria, Palestine, and Egypt, and even had taken Jerusalem in 614. The empire seemed on the brink of collapse, with the Persians holding the Holy Cross, a symbol of great religious significance, in their hands. But Heraclius, despite initial weakness, had other plans. He reformed the Byzantine military, revitalized the army, and restructured the imperial administration. Instead of merely defending his empire, Heraclius took the offensive. In 627, after years of skirmishes, he led a bold campaign into the heart of the Persian Empire, culminating in the Battle of Nineveh. Victory over the Persians, 7:30 to 10 o'clock. The Battle of Nineveh was one of the most decisive moments in Byzantine history. Heraclius's forces had been significantly weakened after years of war, but he gathered a well-organized, highly motivated army that included Byzantine soldiers, local allies, and mercenaries. He also had the advantage of knowing the Persian weaknesses after years of prolonged engagement. One of the key tactics used by Heraclius was deception and coordination of movements. The Byzantine army took advantage of the terrain and the mobility of their forces. Heraclius employed a strategy of constant movement, which kept the Persian forces uncertain of his next move. Heraclius's army employed a form of hit-and-run tactics, advancing through the mountainous regions near Nineveh, where the terrain was difficult. This helped the Byzantine army avoid direct confrontation until they were ready. Heraclius kept his intentions unclear, using smaller raids to harass and exhaust the Persian forces, leading them to believe that the main Byzantine army was still far from Nineveh. Once Heraclius's army reached a position near Nineveh, he used a classic Byzantine tactic known as the feigned retreat. In this maneuver, a portion of the Byzantine forces pretended to withdraw in a disorderly manner, creating the illusion of a rout. The Persians, eager to capitalize on this apparent victory, broke their formation and pursued the retreating Byzantines. However, this was part of a calculated trap, as the Persian forces became stretched out in their pursuit and lost cohesion. Heraclius suddenly turned and counterattacked with the main body of his army, which had been concealed and held in reserve. The feigned retreat was designed to lure the Persians into a vulnerable position where they could be struck by the full force of the Byzantine army. Heraclius concentrated his forces at the key moment of the battle, exploiting the confusion caused by the feigned retreat. By drawing the Persian forces deeper into the battle site and spreading them thin, Heraclius was able to hit their exposed flanks and weaken their center. He made use of heavy cavalry and elite infantry, which attacked the Persian forces from multiple directions, taking advantage of their disorganization. The Persian army was already overextended and struggling with supply issues, which compounded the effectiveness of the Byzantine assault. The Byzantine army was well balanced, incorporating both light and heavy troops. His heavy cavalry, especially the cataphracts, heavily armored cavalry, played a pivotal role in breaking the Persian lines. However, Heraclius also made effective use of light infantry and archers, who harassed the Persian forces and helped keep them off balance, preventing them from regrouping and coordinating their defense. The use of archers and missile troops was crucial in softening up the Persian formations, causing chaos and confusion as the Byzantine heavy infantry and cavalry closed in for the final assault. The Persian army was dealing with a variety of issues that Heraclius was quick to exploit. Internal strife had weakened the Persian leadership, with Khosro's position undermined by his court's political intrigues. His army, while large, was not as unified or as well coordinated as the Byzantine forces. Additionally, the Persian army was stretched thin due to the size of the territory they had to control. They also suffered from logistical issues, with supply lines overextended as they pushed deeper into Mesopotamia. The Byzantines were able to use the local terrain to their advantage, moving swiftly and efficiently through the mountainous areas that hindered Persian movement. Heraclius understood the importance of psychological warfare in warfare. The Byzantines, having suffered several defeats earlier in the war, were now striking at the heart of the Persian Empire, creating a sense of doubt and uncertainty in the Persian leadership. This psychological pressure played a role in the breakdown of morale within the Persian ranks. Heraclius's victory at Nineveh not only dealt a severe blow to the Persian army, but also to the Persian king's prestige. The defeat demoralized Khosrow too, leading to his eventual overthrow by his own generals, which further crippled the Persian Empire. The battle culminated in a decisive Byzantine victory. With the Persians broken and in retreat, Heraclius capitalized on their disarray, quickly cutting down any remaining organized resistance. The Byzantine forces pursued the remnants of the Persian army, inflicting heavy casualties. Heraclius, leading his troops with incredible strategic brilliance, defeated the Persian army. Khosrow II was forced into retreat and ultimately overthrown by his own nobles. With the Persian Empire in disarray, Heraclius was able to negotiate a peace treaty, restoring all the lost territories and securing the return of the True Cross to Jerusalem. Heraclius's victory against the Persians was not just military, but symbolic. He had restored the Byzantine Empire's prestige and religious symbols, and his triumph in the East became a cornerstone of his reign. The Byzantine reorganization, 10 o'clock to 13 o'clock. Following his victory over the Persians, Heraclius sought to secure the future of the empire. One of his most lasting reforms was the creation of the Themes military districts that also served as administrative units. This system allowed local armies to defend against invaders more effectively, and it helped stabilize the empire in a way that previous structures had failed to do. Heraclius also made significant changes in Byzantine religious life. In 629, he famously entered Jerusalem with the True Cross, reaffirming the empire's commitment to Christianity. But it was his decision to adopt Greek as the official language of the empire, replacing Latin that would mark the beginning of a new Byzantine identity. The empire was no longer the Roman Empire as it had been known for centuries. It was now truly Byzantine. The rise of Islam and the crisis of the 7th century to 13 o'clock to 16 o'clock. Just as Heraclius's reign had been defined by war with the Persians, it would soon face a new and more existential threat. The rise of Islam in the Arabian Peninsula in the early 7th century posed a challenge to the Byzantine Empire unlike any it had faced before. In 622, the Prophet Muhammad and his followers began a series of military campaigns that rapidly expanded the influence of Islam. Within a few decades, the Islamic caliphates would sweep through the Middle East, conquering the Byzantine territories of Syria, Palestine, Egypt, and North Africa. Heraclius had already suffered significant losses in the East after his Persian victory. But now, his empire faced a new, rapid, and relentless foe, the Arabs. Heraclius's final years and legacy, 16 o'clock to 19 o'clock. Heraclius's later years were marked by the unrelenting rise of the Arab caliphates. Though he initially attempted to rally the empire against this new threat, the Byzantine forces were stretched thin, and internal strife, combined with the military pressures from the east, proved overwhelming. Despite his earlier triumphs, the Byzantine Empire, now under Heraclius's declining health, began to lose ground. In 641, Heraclius passed away, leaving behind an empire in transition. His reforms, military victories, and the creation of the themes would shape the future of the Byzantine Empire. But the loss of Egypt and much of the eastern provinces to the Arabs marked the beginning of a new era. Heraclius's reign was a paradox, a period of both great military success and profound territorial loss. His reign marked the end of one era and the beginning of another, more fragmented, more religiously diverse, and ultimately more vulnerable empire. Heraclius's legacy is complex, shaped by both triumph and tragedy. He successfully preserved the Byzantine Empire during one of its most critical periods. But the challenges he faced in his later years showed the empire's vulnerability. His life reminds us that even great rulers can only do so much against the tides of history. Yet, his reforms and victories continue to be remembered as a defining chapter in the history of the Byzantine Empire. Heraclius, emperor, warrior, reformer, remains one of Byzantium's greatest and most enduring figures.